Translation history can definitely give people an insight on my life, but on a particular side of my life, which is related to communicating with other people, I think it's a lot.
Seeing my translation would give a good insight to my life. The translations would remind people of certain things and they would assume things from my translations.
If you look through my history, you might know which country that I have visited and what are the words that I feel useful, like excuse me.
The translation history would give people a vague insight into my life. It doesn't give any personal details away. I wouldn't say it would describe my whole personality and who I am as a person, because I am more than just my search history.
If other people can read my translation history, they might know much more with me, especially when they has the same or similar experience like me. I think they have got the same feelings like me.
My translation history gives a good insight of my life. You can see translations from when I was learning a new language, when I was writing a journalism feature, or when I was reading a book.
I feel like daily I use a language that I'm quite fluent to a certain degree. The translation would be part of my life when I encounter like unique cultures or something interesting online.
Translation is definitely a big part of my life. It's not everyone that can speak English, and sometimes you just need a local word to communicate.
I use Google Translate just once a week, just usually on the weekends when I talk to my family members in Chinese.
At home, I can use my home language, but when I'm going out, I am using another language, like to wearing a new coat.
The first word I saw in my translation history is bruise, which in Russian sounds like синяк. I translated it because I got one. I wanted to speak about that, and I wasn't quite sure about the translation, so I just wanted to double check.
Fragrance-free, color-free, generous size, cleansing, flower, moisturizing. It's a translation when I was trying to use the makeup oil remover that my mom gave me. The packaging is all written in Japanese, so I was like curious about the ingredients and how to use it.
When I visit some countries, I will find the word that I feel like it's gonna be very helpful for me, and excuse me is one of the words that I always use. Does it say that I'm polite?
Constellation. I learned this word from our class a lot because some of my classmates really fascinating about this. What's your constellation and how's your personality?
Back in December, I translated from Portuguese Guaraná e Caju, which in English means Guaraná and Cashew. I was writing about this girl's project. She's doing jewelry inspired by the Brazilian fruits.
This is a word I actually never heard before, but it's a staple in Russian culture. It's called stump in English. In Russian, it's pinyok. We have this famous fairy tale for kids. The starting point of this is on a stump.
Unless the grain has been moved, it remains alone, but if it is dead, it brings forth much fruit. I was visiting the catacombs in Paris, and there were these signs placed on the walls next to the skulls of all the dead people, and there were like quotes about death.
Scusa, coupe, this coupe, like this. But I don't think I use this word because I don't know, it's hard to pronounce, so I still using excuse me and people still understand.
Last weekend, we spoke about Christmas because in China, they don't really celebrate Christmas as much as they do in England, so there is a big difference. To say turkey in Chinese is porji,
falafel. She asked me if I want to try, and I try a little bit. It's better than I think, and I asked her the name. She said it, and I go to the translation app, but she laughed at me because she said it doesn't work on translation app. She just described this word to me because it's like an Indian word, I think, Indian food. It's nice because it's hot. I don't like cold food.
Wait.
Apothecary. I knew this word before I translated it, but I just did it for the sake of pronunciation. It's apothecary, thank you. I see it everywhere, like fancy pharmacies, French pharmacies. Just also wanted to sound exciting and sophisticated.
On the 18th of June, I've had more of like single words. I think I was reading books. Typically, when I'm translating singular words, it's mostly from books I read.
L'addition s'il vous plaît, which just mean check please.
I found it quite fascinating to translate what going from English to Chinese, because the more I wrote it out, the more the words stuck. And I was also not just learning how to write the characters, I was also memorizing the words in the sentences. Now I can understand people having a full-on conversation in Chinese and they're very surprised I can understand them. Both my parents and my family in China are really impressed.
I translate the pasta, snack, macaron. Maybe it's the day I go out for shopping to buy like my whole week's food I need. Macaron is the fish I like in UK. Rich DHA.
At the beginning of the course, when we were all getting to know each other, we created this group chat on WhatsApp, and everyone was like writing so fast, and I didn't know when one of the girls wrote resting aloof face. I didn't know what that meant, so I had to quickly use the app to translate that and keep the conversation flowing.
You think you know the word, but you're not 100% sure and you just don't want to sound dumb.
There are a lot of times that I'm not sure if the thing in my head makes sense, and I like to check it with Google Translate. If it translates and it still makes sense in another language, then I have more trust in myself that okay, the thing that I'm about to say, it will make sense to another person.
Here to here is the name of my friends in class, and I just want to hear like the Thai accent of my friend's name.
Sharia.
It's Shriya, but when I wrote in Thai, it's Sharia.
On July 12th, I translate 五瓣玫瑰 into 5 petal rose. It's the name of the song that my favorite singer she sung. I share it on Instagram that day and also use these English words.
Exposing my translation history to other people, I definitely feel exposed. Not in a bad way. It's interesting when someone is asking you about an aspect of your life no one else notices.
Now, sharing my translation history, I feel I have went back down a short memory lane, I guess, of this year. It's fun to kind of recap the things that has happened so far.
What do I feel? I feel good, but it's okay, I guess.
I'm always conscious of what people would think, particularly being a mixed race child. There's a lot of expectations. I think in some ways it's a good relief. If it was anonymous, I'd be fine. I wouldn't really care too much. Some people are very understanding. Others aren't so much because they expect you to know all these words.
I feel a little amazing. I also so surprised that I can remember so much things I have done before. Like these words are connect each other with my memory.
Sharing my translation history is kind of fun. I never expected to do that. It's kind of nice to see all these like random words and remember where I was at the time, what I was doing.